Almost every man ends up walking straight into the same psychological trap. And the dangerous part is that most of them don't even notice it until the damage is already done. Because what destroys relationships is not simply aging itself. It's something far quieter, far more subtle, and far more destructive beneath the surface. Have you ever noticed how some men, even in their 40s, 50s, or beyond, still carry an undeniable charm, emotional pull, and confidence that draws people in? Meanwhile, others slowly fade into the background of their own lives and relationships. And the reason behind this difference is not wealth, appearance, or even luck. It comes down to psychology, something very few people ever properly explain. And if you miss this understanding, you can lose meaningful relationships without ever realizing the real cause. In this video, we're going to break down what actually shifts in a man's mindset over time and how those changes directly influence attraction, emotional connection, and relationship stability. These are not surface-level tips or motivational phrases. They are uncomfortable truths that most people prefer to ignore. And the final insight is often the one that causes the biggest downfall when overlooked. The issue is this: many men assume that with age comes full control over life. More discipline, more wisdom, more emotional stability. But in reality, something different often happens. Instead of becoming more open and connected, many become emotionally tighter, more rigid, and harder to truly reach. And that shift slowly weakens attraction. Because attraction is not built on how organized your life is. It's built on how a person feels in your presence. A woman doesn't connect to your resume, your achievements, or your logic. She connects to emotional experience. And no matter how stable your life looks from the outside, if emotional energy is missing, connection starts to disappear. This is where many men unknowingly fail. They begin to believe maturity means emotional distance. Over time, they take fewer risks emotionally, express less of their inner world, and hide behind control and restraint. It feels safer, more logical. But in relationships, emotional safety alone is not enough. Real connection requires openness, expression, and vulnerability. And not weakness, vulnerability. The ability to show what you feel without hiding behind a mask of constant control. Yet, many men move in the opposite direction. They become harder to read, emotionally unavailable, and predictable in the worst way. And that creates distance without either person fully realizing when it started. There's an important truth most people miss. Relationships don't survive on autopilot. They require ongoing emotional investment. Many men reach a point where they unconsciously believe they no longer need to try. No more effort, no more emotional attention to detail. But that is exactly where relationships begin to fade, not suddenly, but slowly, almost invisibly. Attraction and long-term connection is not about constant impressing. It is about emotional presence. It is about making someone feel understood, calm, and emotionally engaged at the same time. Without that emotional movement, even strong relationships become routine, and routine quietly destroys desire. This is why some men remain magnetic even later in life, not because they are perfect, but because they continue to create emotional depth. They stay engaged, aware, and emotionally responsive. Their presence feels alive rather than automatic, and that makes them stand out naturally. At the core of it all is something very simple. It is not what you say that defines your impact, but what people feel when they are with you. Your attention, your energy, your emotional availability. These shape the entire experience of connection more than anything else. A man who understands this does not need to overperform or chase validation. His presence alone communicates confidence without arrogance, warmth without dependence, and calmness without emotional distance. And that combination is rare, which is exactly why it is powerful. But here's the part most people overlook. The biggest shift that happens with age is not physical or financial. It is emotional stagnation. Many men continue to grow in career, knowledge, and responsibility, but stop evolving in emotional awareness and connection. And when emotional growth stops, everything else starts to lose meaning in relationships. Because love is not sustained by logic or structure. It survives on emotional connection, presence, and continuous awareness of the other person. If a man fails to evolve emotionally, no amount of success can fully replace that missing depth. But the important truth is this: emotional intelligence is not fixed. It can be learned, developed, and strengthened at any stage of life. And once a man understands this, everything changes, not just in relationships, but in how he is perceived, valued, and experienced by others. Because most people never reach this level of awareness. But if you do, you already hold a significant advantage that most will never realize they are missing.